Hi, I'm Emyle Watkins, and this is the WBFO Disabilities Beat. Often when I interview the disability community about the barriers we face, the issues are rooted in policy, finance, the way things are designed, or something that isn't always easy to change. But this week, we're focusing on a barrier that is actually quite simple. It's how people with disabilities are treated in everyday conversation. Tomorrow, March 21st, is World Down Syndrome Day. You might know what Down syndrome is, and that people with Down syndrome have 3 copies of the 21st chromosome. But how many people who have Down syndrome do you talk to regularly? Earlier this month, I spent the day at GiGi's Playhouse, a center for people with Down syndrome to connect through art, cooking, and fitness classes, as well as receive speech therapy, literacy tutoring, and more. And when I started asking people with Down syndrome about the biggest barrier they face, I came to understand it's that people don't take the time to get to know them as people. Some of the adults I spoke to explained that being talked to differently, often in an infantilizing or childlike way, is the biggest barrier. Faith Jeroman, who works the front desk at GiGi's Playhouse, described it as a weight on her shoulders.
Like a weight has been brought down on the shoulders, like it's not like a burden, but like a barrier for personalities, relationships like that.
She's 21 and has Down syndrome. She gave me a tour that day and explained to me what makes GiGi's programs distinct is the autonomy and respect people are shown there.
Any programs you can't find anywhere else we have here.
And what are some of the things that you can't find somewhere else?
Like, if you can't find a place where you have to like exercise, like, because a lot of that has to do with low muscle tone and like that. We focus more on the mission of helping, not just talking down, but like actually helping with an open hand.
Did you just say instead of talking down?
Like, yeah, because a lot of people who have Down syndrome get a lot of people, like grandmothers, like,
A lot of people who treat them differently?
like, yeah, I would say that.
Jeroman also pointed out that people often have assumptions about Down syndrome that aren't true. Like
they can't speak, they can't like hear. They tend to assume. They assume a lot, and well, the saying judging by book by its cover, that takes a whole lot of its place.
And what would you like people to know about living with Down syndrome? Like, what's the truth about Down syndrome?
That's amazing. You can learn how to cook. You can learn how to paint and draw. As long as you be kind and accepting, you can actually accept the personalities that they have.
Everyone I met at GiGi's Playhouse was living life like any other adult. Jeroman enjoys her job and likes to read and play Nintendo Switch in her free time. I also had a long chat with Madison Ross and Sydney Hanley, who are both in their mid-20s. Ross is employed and describes herself as an aspiring artist.
And I am aspiring singer, songwriter, producer, and I'm an animator, actress, and stand-up comedian.
And Hanley is currently a student at Hilbert College.
Some of my hobbies that I like to do is bowling. I like swimming. And I really like hanging out with my boyfriend.
We realized the 3 of us had a lot in common. We talked about dating in our 20s and our favorite coffee orders and a shared love of art and theater. And they point out to me people miss out on connecting like this when they create a barrier by not treating someone with a disability the same as any other adult. When you go out to plays and Starbucks and go to events, Do you ever feel like people are like nervous around you or don't know how to talk to you?
Sometimes, yes.
Also, they don't know how to talk to us, yeah.
And how can they talk to you? Like what would you like them to come up and say to you?
Well, like you want to hang out, like to have coffee, and or like to want to let's find out we have something in common.
That's true.
Drummond also pointed out that another mistake people make is not talking to someone with a disability directly. When you see someone with a visible disability spending time with someone who doesn't have a visible disability, you shouldn't assume that that person is a caregiver or that you can't talk to the person with a disability. You should always talk to the person with a disability like anyone else. Do you wish more people took the time to know you and didn't focus so much on your disability?
Yeah, I would help that a lot actually, because when I was in the hospital, for instance, my PT, she talked a lot to my mother, not to me. So it's like that was frustrating.
Something I've learned as a journalist is that we talk about disability and to people with disabilities based on the way we view disability. And often we view disability based on the way we grew up. People with disabilities have been fighting for equity in the United States for decades, and how we're viewed, described, and talked to by others has been part of that battle. The last ugly law, which outlawed visibly disabled people from being in public, was ended in 1973. People with disabilities didn't secure the right to live in the most integrated setting in their community until 1999, when the Olmstead decision was issued. And the US government didn't replace the phrase mental retardation with intellectual disability in government documents and laws until 2010. All this to say, most of us have grown up in a world where people with disabilities have been largely segregated physically or by the language we use. But in a time where people with disabilities are now more integrated into our community than ever, one of the biggest barriers might also be the simplest. How do you wish people treated you?
Respect and like you can't realize we are can't realize like we are a adult and a women's.
So the next time you see someone with Down syndrome or any visible disability, don't talk to the person next to them instead. Don't talk to adults like children. Just talk to people like people. To listen to the Disabilities Beat segment on demand, view a transcript, and learn more about World Down Syndrome Day, visit our website at wbfo.org. I'm Emyle Watkins. Thanks for listening.